breaking news today, everybody. We've got B-52 Stratofortress bombers that are headed south right now as we speak. Looks like they could be on a Caribbean mission, a show of force, or who knows? We don't know exactly what they're up to right now, and that's what the point of this video is, to give you guys a briefing and a breakdown of what could be happening with these B-52s rolling in today. I mean, just an insane show of force. Having the B-52s, having the F-35s, all the assets in the area. But I'm going to talk to you about, okay, let's say this does go hot. What do these B-52s do? What are the targets? What are the different weapons they carry? And what is Venezuela's response? But that's all going to be, a wild card, because when it comes to the enemy, everybody's got to vote until you get punched in the face. So I want to bring up this image for you guys real quick. I want to show you a little bit about what those B-52s flight path could look like. So as you can see here, man, just cruising across the U.S. and over here. So this is actually a B-52 as well. We don't have a call sign for that B-52, but we've got a registration number. So we're watching you. We're watching your speed, okay? We got the registration number, but down here we've got Timex, and that's Timex 43, and it looks like a 2-ship of B-52s. Again, the Stratofortress, what a beast. I mean, this jet's been flying for over 50 years. So it looks like they are currently over Louisiana right now at the time of this video being made. And again, I want to bring you guys the latest breaking updates, because here we go. As far as the flight path going to the Caribbean, probably going to fly over Puerto Rico as well, kind of keeping yourself within surface-to-air missiles owned by the United States until you absolutely have to start trucking towards an enemy surface-to-air missile net. And that's what Venezuela has. We'll get to that here in a second. But Venezuela has a missile net that's provided by Russia, China. Iran has delivered some, but Iran's are coming from Russia as well. But likely they're going to start here, and then they're going to head to a point over Puerto Rico, and I've got this map here pulled up with Venezuelan targets, which we're going to get to here in a second. But they're basically going to do this route right here. So B-52s are here right now. They're going to make their way over to the southern part of Florida, do a refuel somewhere around here, meet up with some air reserve tankers, and then avoid Cuban airspace, and then fly again over to Puerto Rico. And as they make their way to Puerto Rico, which is right here, they'll rejoin with some tankers as well, get some aerial refueling done here. There's probably tankers based right now out of San Juan here in Puerto Rico. And then from here, it's anybody's guess. Again, I don't want to highlight too much what I think they're going to do from there, but you can guess. You can guess that there's the potential anytime these things are in the area to go hot, to go kinetic. And Maduro knows it. Likely right now Maduro's sipping some of his coffee and he sees the B-52 on that screen and he's like, poof, just spits it all out. Speaking of coffee, I need a little bit of that. But yeah, Maduro's likely monitoring all of this before, they even get close. So he's probably monitoring what's going on over Puerto Rico, what's going on over southern Florida. And he's trying to use any type of intel and assets to get that done, which they've actually been my assumption is how Iran used satellite imagery from China. I would guess that, the Maduro regime is tied in close with China as well. They're pumping tons of cash to China to get that satellite imagery, to get that early warning interface that China has in a lot of their satellites. So likely they're just, getting that pumped into them as well as we speak. So just I wanted to give you guys an overview of that swath of Earth that we're basically going to see go hot potentially any day now. But why is that happening? Why is all this going down? Well, just a few days ago, President Trump was actually briefed on a target package for Venezuela, okay? So when it comes to the target package for Venezuela, Trump's going to get a full rundown, a full brief of that, and that's just kind of the typical way that it would go down. Air Force officers, generals, when it comes to the target packaging, they're basically going to build it and then they're going to pass it up the chain. So that would be a full situation brief lowdown that would come right from the top. So Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, all the way through all the different high-up generals that are going to be a part of this. It's basically the top brass, the top muckety-mucks, if you will, getting together. And that actually happened a little bit ago. It happened on November 18th. So think about a dimly lit room with a massive screen showing all the targets that could be targeted and what the strategic objectives would be. And that's what I'm going to give you here in 1 second. So I'll go to that screen right now, but I've actually got the target list basically built right here that I'm going to go over. Venezuela knows it. It's no secret. I mean, Maduro knows where the targets are. And, the biggest targets over his presidential palace, basically his fortified headquarters, his Dr. Evil lair is going to be at the top of that. So Maduro, obviously a narco thug, right? He's tied in with all these different narcotics gangs. And one of his major sources of money coming in are teaming up with the cartels and teaming up with these narco terrorists to ship drugs up to the US. And then to me, it's kind of interesting, because they know that it's a war of public perception, right? So again, I'm not trying to drop names here or brag or anything, but I flew on the Thunderbirds for 3 years, and it's a war of public affairs. When you think about how the military works when it comes to joint operations, when it comes to conflicts around the globe. A lot of these things we see, guys, comes down to public affairs, right? Like if the U.S. drops a weapon, what does the enemy say? The U.S. is like, oh, you killed, 20 children. That's what they're going to say, regardless of if it's true or not. Now, I'm not saying mistakes haven't happened before, but that's going to be the initial response from any type of enemy that wants you to stop. They want to sway public perception in their favor. Now, again, I'm not for endless wars, but you can see Maduro's actually following this playbook right now. And he's actually got the president of Colombia on his side as well, where they're basically saying, oh, these are just fishermen. These boats? No, these guys, these boats are just fishermen that are just trying to make a living. They're catching bass, Pacific bass, sea bass. That's what they're doing. They're not carting drugs. Meanwhile, one of the boats gets hit and it's just a big powder of fentanyl precursors. But they're trying to win the war of public opinion because they're obviously getting something from it, right? They're getting their pockets lined. Maduro's got ultimate power. Who knows what that guy's got going on in his country. But now the president of Colombia probably getting some kickbacks as well. And so it's just one of those things where the public perception is going to try to go against any type of narrative to take Maduro out of power, at least from their side, right? That's what their strategic objectives are. Kind of like what we saw with Iran. You saw the propaganda come out of Iran. It's the same playbook when it comes to dictators. But the target package, back to that, you got to think about what the prime targets are and the surgical targets that, again, these B-52s could be going after right now. We don't know. I want to bring you guys this breaking news because these B-52s being in flight, being airborne, heading towards that region, it's just a wild situation. But think oil infrastructure, this is a part of it, but would it be the smartest thing to take down all the oil infrastructure? I'm going to show you the different points here in a second. Probably not. But when it comes to prime targets, likely military targets, so stopping the ability of the Maduro regime to think that they can flex. Because right now they think they can flex, right? Maduro's basically buddying up with Iran. Like, check this out. I got this image right here. So Maduro and the Ayatollah just struck a huge deal, and that huge deal was for these bad boys, for the Shahed drone. And so, basically anything that can make him feel a little smaller in his britches is going to be better for the situation. So probably the first things in the target package are going to be just a massive amount of taking out military capability and showing Maduro, hey, dude, you're not in charge anymore. So as this regime change plays out, if it plays out, but to me, it's looking more and more like it will, because Maduro's basically doubling down. He's saying he wants to talk, but again, he's trying to get the Colombian president on board. He's trying to get, as many people on board as he can to justify the narco trafficking. Like, guys, well, we should just be able to traffic this. This is a free world, right? Like the US, you're a free country. You should just let us traffic our drugs. And again, I'm not saying I'm not for armed conflict every time. I'm not for kinetic options every time. But at the end of the day, when you have a dictator that's just shipping, thousands of kilos of fentanyl precursors and drugs, weekly up to the United States, daddy's got to come home at some point and say, no, you can't do that. It's not a free for all when it comes to, things that could kill kids. We're not going to be okay with that. So again, the target package briefers are going to likely say, hey, President Trump, we want to focus on basically removing any idea that Maduro thinks he has any military power in the region. So we've got the Carrier Strike Group, we've got the USS Ford, and that's going to do some work, Tomahawk cruise missiles, and just taking down any type of infrastructure. And speaking of that, let's just go ahead and start with the Su-30 bases. So the Su-30 bases are very interesting, and I've got this first coastal one, because this is the one where they'd likely launch the first wave of Su-30s going up and after anything coming off of the USS Ford, which is going to be F-18s. But this is a Su-30 base where we can see the actual Su-30. So I zoomed in here, and it's kind of cool. You can tell here they've got, let's see how close we can get. Yeah, I think that's as close as we can get right there. Nice. So there you go. You got a 5 ship sitting there. I mean, it looks like a little bit of disrepair on these. Hard to tell. Could be shadows, but it does look like a little bit of disrepair. So we don't know exactly the feasibility of the airborne ability of these things. But this runway looks better than a lot of the other ones. So if the runway's maintained really well, that tells me something. It tells me, well, the jets are probably have a decent amount of being maintained. You know, a lot of things, just how clean does the base look? You know, does it look like there's weeds growing in certain places? This looks like a strong base. So this would be one of the first targets to take down. Schwack the runway, you know, just JDAMs coming out of those B-52s would be easy. And if you have F-35s that are teamed up with the B-52s, now you have the ability to let the B-52s come in close, because again, the B-52 is a stand-in bomber some of the time, right? So if it's in close, dropping JDAMs, it's not stealthy, so it can be taken down. So maybe cruise missiles, yeah, now that I think of it, cruise missiles would be a way better option to strike this with if you're using the B-52. Now, if you're using the B-2, you can strike it with whatever you want, because you can do a stand-in mission where you're close in and you have that stealth to just schwack anything coming up at you. But yeah, so we've got the Su-30s. Let's see, here's a couple more of them over here. Let's see here, these 2-seaters. These look like 2-seaters. I see a little break in the canopy bow there. 2-seater, 2-seater. And yeah, just 2-seat Su-30s. It's kind of their go-to. That's their mainstay. And then you've got big hangars over here, so those would be targets as well. Taking out those targets, those would be something that'd be kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, this coastal Su-30 base is, you know, it's one that's going to need to be dealt with very early on. It's right by Barcelona, Venezuela, not Spain. Spain, don't worry. Everybody in Spain just spit out their coffee. They're like, oh, wait, we're on the target list? No, Spain, you're okay. This is Venezuela. This is a Maduro issue, okay? So again, this base going to be more of a threat when it comes to Su-30s. And you want to get these things taken down as soon as possible, because they're carrying those anti-ship missiles, those X-31s from Russia. You don't want them going up there and flying around and finding out, you know, a lucky one of those things gets blasted off and, you know, gets through a couple different defense nets, and then boom, there you go. You got a hit on a destroyer or a carrier. Not worth risking that. So again, minute 1, let's go ahead and take that down. And actually, minute 1 is going to be air superiority. So air superiority is going to likely be obtained from, I'd say, there'd probably be F-22s launching out of Florida. F-22s would kind of be in the back here, making sure that nothing was targeting the B-52s. Since those are going to be the big swing and you-know-whats. The F-22s are going to be the big swing and radars in the area. Get the F-22s up there. Why not? You know, give the guys in Florida something to do. Give the home team something to do. So F-22 caps back here, F-35 caps in front of there, making sure nothing's going to come after the B-52. And as soon as anything lifts off from Barcelona, these Su-30 pilots better do some shots of, what is it? I don't know. I don't think they drink tequila, and they probably do. But maybe some good rum. You know, they're going to need a few shots of good rum before they blast out of there, because F-22 AMRAAMs are going to schwack them in the teeth pretty quick. So this is going to be target number 1, Su-30 base here. And then target number 2, I would say more of a Tomahawk base. So, you know, having a submarine launch Tomahawks or any of the other naval assets, some of the other Aegis destroyers, have those go ahead and take care of it. An Arleigh Burke class destroyer launching Tomahawks, that would be probably the prime thing to take out this one. But here's some interesting parts about this base. So this one's a little further south. Let's see if we can get the name of this area. Yeah, it is Capital Manuel Rios Carrico. So that's the base here. This one's in a lot worse shape than the other one. So this would probably be like an alternate base for them. But a lot of the hype videos that we've seen showing the Su-30, those have been out of this runway from what I can tell. I mean, for the most part. Let's see. I'm going to try to pull up some of those hype videos actually, just to show you guys, because I think it's important to know what is launching out of where. So Su-30, Venezuela. Let's see what we got. Yeah, they've got hype videos showing that they're going to go up against the the F-35. It's hilarious. Yeah. All right. Let's see. F-18's taken off out of the USS Ford. Yeah, here we go. I think this is the one. Well, you guys get the idea. Can't quite find the exact one. But I think this takeoff, yeah. Bottom line is they're going to be taken off out of this base on a way that, is going to be usable. But I don't think it's going to be the biggest threat. So you want to make sure it's taken down. Again, this one, let's see. I don't think we can see any Su-30s actually sitting here. So again, it could just be more of an alternate base for them. Yeah, I don't actually see any Su-30s. I did see something interesting though here. So it looks like a lot of they have one little tank for fuel, but they don't have a lot of, they might be trucking in their fuel. I don't see a lot of big fuel holding tanks. But then down here, you've got weapons depots. So at the end of the runway, these would be good weapons loading facilities. So these would need to be taken down. But look at the overgrowth, guys. So this isn't even a usable one, which is, you're not going to take a fighter jet over that, even a Su-30 that's relatively rugged. So I know this imagery is probably not completely up to date, but if you think about what they're going to use this for, this is totally unusable for a fighter jet to go in and get loaded up and get armed up. So there you go. Two main Su-30 bases, get those down because they're carrying anti-ship missiles. So take this one out with Tomahawks. Take this one out with, you can do Tomahawks, but also just standoff weapons from the B-52s. And then here's the different oil refineries, all these different red things here, all these dots. These are different oil refineries. So the question is, would you take down oil refineries? Because here's the deal, guys. With a regime change operation, you want the country to be able to stand on its own 2 feet, and you want it to be able to rise up again. After World War II with Japan, the U.S. struck a deal with Toyota to make thousands of trucks and thousands of Jeeps. They ended up using them in the Korean War, but they wanted that economy to actually be something that gave them the ability to rise up again and, be in charge of themselves. So it wasn't a situation where you have zero leadership. Iraq, Afghanistan, you don't want to repeat that again. So shwacking all these oil refineries. And again, you want, let's just call a spade a spade. American companies want to come in and help these come into the fold of the rest of the world and, get them out of just the pockets of Russia and China. Let's call a spade, guys. America's a capitalist country, and oil companies would love to help be a part of bringing this oil into the mainstream and bringing it into the United States. And let's just be honest. Again, this is I try to do an honest show with you guys. The average person in the public wants that as well because it means lower oil prices. I'm not saying that's a reason to go into a conflict at all. I'm just saying what the reality is of the riches of Venezuela. How would they be used? How would it be looked at? But again, tons of different oil refineries throughout this whole area. So you got some next to that Su-30 base number 1. A lot of them by the coast. So the question is, would these be taken down? And here's a drop-off point. Obviously, oil barges here that are going to be getting this refined oil. And this is a massive one with all these different points. But the U.S. might make a point of it. They might take out one. You take out one of these, like this main one here, and now you're basically sending a message to the regime. And they're like, well, okay, if we don't stop, they're just going to keep taking these down. But there is one other thing I really want to show you guys. And this is some breaking intel on the target package. And it is, let's see if I can find it over here. Yep. It is along the coast. This is a little known port, kind of central north part of Venezuela. And it is basically, it's La Guara port. So I'll zoom out, let you guys see it. So it's this port right here. And guess what? Guess what kind of latest breaking intel is in about that port right now? This is a main Iranian arms shipment port where it's been confirmed that there's Iranian arms, like those Shahed drones, like thousands of those Shahed drones probably rolling in right here. So even though you want to preserve infrastructure with a regime change type situation, I think that one's going to go bye-bye. That one's going to go bye-bye. Sorry, got to let that one go away. So that's kind of the main target package, guys. Here's a quick overview of the B-52. So you can see this graphic from Boeing. I like how they make it look like a cute little cartoon. Oh, it's a cute little cartoon loaded down with 150 JDAMs. So it's just kind of funny. So they're talking about some engine renewal. This is hilarious. Look, they have windows on it like an airliner, and then they have the B-52 engines out here. Come on, guys. We don't need a B-52 airliner. That would be funny, though, if Air Force One became a B-52. So Trump's on it. He can just fly around and he can drop JDAMs himself if he wants to. That's the next plot for Team America 2. But yeah, basically the B-52, it is a beast. I mean, if you look at this thing, it is just built like a pickup truck. It doesn't actually have ailerons. It has like some ailer type things that spoilers that actually that's how you fly it because it's so big and it's so heavy. So when you see it take off, it kind of just lifts off like this. It doesn't do like a traditional takeoff. Very impressive engineering. And for this thing to still be going strong after all those years, I mean, it's just a testament to this truck, this pickup truck, and American ingenuity and ruggedness, honestly. So here's a few of the weapons I wanted to talk about. So again, it's going to be more of a standoff bomber, so you don't want it directly in over top of the target likely. So here's an AGM-86. That could definitely be a strong weapon, probably 1,000-pound-ish warhead on that, relatively stealthy for the AGM-86. And there's updated versions of this as well, but the B-52 can launch dozens of these things. So this could fly off as it's over the Caribbean. It's being protected by the F-35B, and then boom, this goes in and takes care of business. So I would expect to see something like that. And then some of the other options, some of the more updated ones, AGM-158. So this is a JASSM, Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile, if I remember it. See, I got the acronyms down. Man, patting myself on the back about the acronyms. You guys know I love those. But yeah, so that's the JASSM. Again, this going in, schwacking Maduro's palace. Perfect. This would be a perfect weapon to go up and do that. Let's see. Stealthy as well, and it's carried by a lot of partner nations. But yeah, that's one of the prime ones that could be used. And then overall, guys, just this target package being briefed means that any day this could go down. And so I want you all to just kind of keep in mind that this going down any day is something that is a possibility, but it could also be negotiation, right? It could also be President Trump basically getting the leverage saying, hey, Maduro, if you don't do X, Y, or Z, you don't kind of step away from the axis of evil, which at this point, I mean, we saw the pictures of Maduro. He's buddy-buddy with China, with Russia, with Iran. They're having tea together. They're on each other's Christmas lists. And at the end of the day, I don't see that partnership breaking up. I do think this is trending towards regime change. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. That's just my opinion. Remember, I'm just a dude on YouTube with some military experience, former fighter pilot guy. Take that with a grain of salt. But I do think we are leading towards a regime change. Quick coffee break. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. I'll keep you guys posted. I'll probably be doing more daily breaking news updates. It's just more fun. I enjoy it. Let me know if you like it. Let me know what you think happens with these B-52s rolling into the area. I'll keep you guys posted as this develops. Say hi to me on Instagram. It is Max Afterburner USA. And then say hi on X. It is Max AB USA. So give me a shout on both of those. And then watch the next video that pops up. When you watch the next video that pops up over here, it helps the channel grow exponentially, and I would just greatly appreciate it. So I will see you guys on the next video. This is Ryan, also known as Max Afterburner, signing off.